Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Lau. So happy to have you here with us today.
Yeah,
So,
thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot for spending your evening with us.
Mm-hmm.
how's the situation currently in Malaysia?
Let's have a quick look, yeah? We're not in the top 10, so we are fine. Today we only have 30 new cases, so we're pretty much okay. Everything is under control, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good actually. I heard that the MCO is going to be taken off pretty soon. Is that right? Or has it already been taken off?
Hi, Dr. Lau. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm hearing double from the other
Mm.
window. Yeah. All good now.
Okay. Yeah, Bob, you were saying?
Oh, just asking if the MCO has been lifted. Just reading about it.
So we are now in the PKPB, right? So we are in the second stage. So most of the businesses, they're allowed to open, and then with some rules and regulations, they need to do applications with the government, and of course they have a set of SOPs to follow. Yeah, like for example, if a restaurant you're open, and then you have to record the customers, I think name and mobile number. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Mm.
Sounds promising.
Okay, I think it's almost time for us to start.
Okay.
So, Dr. Lau, we'll move you to the backstage and then we
Sure.
will prep for the session.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll see you in a bit. Hi, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today at our very first AMA session. So, my name is Joey.
And my name is Bach.
So, we are from the Google Developer Relations team. For those joining us for the first time today, let me share a little about who we are and what we do. Google Developer Space is a home for developers and startups from around the region to learn, connect, engage, and be inspired. We want to empower and connect the community to our people, programs, network, and technologies. And of course, before we begin, let us briefly share about what the CoronaTracker Platform is all about. CoronaTracker is a community-based project powered by over 2,000 volunteers across the globe, ranging from data scientists, medical professionals, UI/UX designer, full-stack developers, to the general public. It acts as a portal for the public to keep track of the latest news development about COVID-19 alongside collecting data for further analysis. For our AMA session tonight, we have Dr. Lau Cher Han, founder of CoronaTracker, as our speaker. Dr. Lau is a chief data scientist and keynote speaker in data science and AI for major companies, organizations, and government agencies across Australia, Malaysia, Taiwan, and other ASEAN countries. Dr. Lau's current focus is on helping clients to grow their data science team, gain insights by combining structured and unstructured data, and implementing data analytics and big data strategies. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the stage over to Bob and Dr. Lau to begin the AMA session.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joey.
Hey, Dr. Lau.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, nice to meet you. I think first of all, really want to say thank you for, spending time with us this evening.
Yep, thank you very much. My pleasure to be here too.
Well, our pleasure is all ours. I was just recapping how we first met, and I remember that we first met each other during one of the machine learning boot camps we ran in Malaysia, in Magic, I believe, a year ago.
Yes, that's right. I was mentoring at the event, right?
Yeah. And it was really, really happy to be able to reconnect the dots, and then meet you again and have this opportunity to collaborate with you again in this May session to talk about CoronaTracker. I think just to start, would really love to understand from you what actually inspired you to start building CoronaTracker.com in the first place.
Okay, so maybe let me show you something. I believe that many of you have seen the ArcGIS map before, right? So the one from Johns Hopkins University. So let me quickly show you. Yeah, so this is the one. So during Chinese New Year, so the night before Chinese New Year, usually we'll have a reunion dinner, and a lot of my friends were sharing this particular map with me. So I was like, what is this? Like, a lot of people are sharing that with me. Then ask me to take a look. You say, hey, Dr. Lau, take a look at this. This is something that might be of your interest, and there's a lot of maps, information about this so-called Wuhan virus at that time. And then it got my attention to see that, hey, this is something that is very interesting, but I wanted to know more about this particular virus. I want to know things like how can I keep track of that, and then how can I do things like check the news articles, for example, etc. And then I'm able to do that because, as you can see, right, this just show you the statistics, and back then it's only about China. And so when I'm a developer, when we have some problems, when we are not happy with something, we go ahead and fix it. So that's the very first intention that sparks my interest to build Corona Tracker.
Got it, got it. And I could fully relate to you. I think, as developers, we often, we see something that needs fixing, or we see something that kind of inspire some ideas. Our hands get itchy, and we want to dive straight into it. So I
Yes.
definitely can relate to that sentiment. But Corona Tracker has grown to be such a big project.
Yeah.
And I want to understand from you, like, what are some of the challenges you face in
Okay,
to
so
maintain that well?
at the very beginning, we have issues like collecting the data. So our main goal is actually to look at two things. Number one is the statistics. Number two is actually the news article. So we really have to go to different sources to get our data. At the beginning, the numbers is not growing that fast. Only focusing on China, so that's fine. As time goes by, our main challenge come from really getting updated data as fast as we can. Yeah, so that would be the primary challenge.
How do you juggle with so many data sources? Actually, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so we use a lot of Python skills. Yeah, we write scrapers, go to different websites. So I
Um,
always tell my students, right, if you have done a lot of good things in your past life, then you will usually get data in CSV form, JSON form. Even in XML form is not that bad. But in some countries, they publish the data in graphics form, right, in pictures, like
mm,
very nice infographics. But for us, it's very hard for us to extract the data. So those one of the challenges to analyze different types of data sources and put them into a database. Yeah.
got it, got it.
And
Um,
yeah, you were asking about how do we overcome the challenge with the help of the 2005 volunteers that we have around the world. Yeah.
that's one of the things that really buffeted me was the fact that all these developers and all these professional medical professional come together to actually kind of support this project.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit about how did that come about? How do you manage to rally the support of so many people coming together to support CoronaTracker.com?
Um, to be honest, when I set up the projects, the first thing that I do is just post a message on Facebook and LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm going to start this project. Anyone is interested, and then you can join me at this Telegram group. And we have Telegram for message broadcast, and then we have Slack group for more work related. So and then things just happen naturally. Like I didn't really like assign tasks or anything, but some people would just come to me say, hey, I have this idea, I want want to do. I'm able to do front end UI UX, and you look at our. I don't have the old design, but if you look at some of the news articles, I do have a very poorly designed version, and this is with the help of UI UX designer, and then we even have product manager. So that is, if
Wow.
you are a developer and you're planning to join a startup, or you are working in the startup, right? Well, the most important thing actually is to have a product manager or product owner that will help you a lot. Yeah, I think that's one of the main difference between ours and hundreds of other coronavirus or COVID-19 tracking portal out there. Yeah.
Definitely, I think the beauty of the community is often to come together and work on projects that inspires or resonate with some of the beliefs or even some of the values
Yeah.
that we individually actually hold. So that's very inspiring. The topic of today's AMA, which I forgot to mention at the beginning, I apologize for that, was using AI to be able to curb some of the impact from this pandemic, right?
Yep.
And I'm really curious in terms of like how AI and ML is being utilized in CoronaTracker.com, and would love to learn a bit more from you. How
Sure.
that happened.
So a lot of time, right, when people actually talks about AI, it's just they see it as a buzzword, and in developers' eyes, they are not just buzzword; they are overhyped buzzword. Meaning that
Mm,
some people will just say AI is a bunch of if-else statements. You're just trying to learn the rules, which is partially true. Right? I would say 75-80% of the time is like that. Even when we build machine learning models, we're trying to
mm,
fine tune and tweak all the parameters, and then the rest of the jobs, especially the heavy lifting, we leave it to the machines. So in Corona Tracker, the main thing that we use heavily is actually NLP, natural language processing. So we use that to pick up articles, and in our future work, we are going to use that to analyze a lot of the research papers, news articles, social media, unstructured data to find the correlations of different signals and different indicators. And one of the tips I can share with the audience tonight is that whenever people look at signals, right, they always focus on strong signals, but strong signals usually has a very low value. Okay, allow me to explain why.
mm,
If you know something that has a strong signal, so for example, when let's say we talk about mask, right, everybody knows that we run out of mask by March. But if you can get to be the first one to know that we start to have the strong demand of mask, let's say at early February, that will be a game changer. So those weak signals that has the potential to become a strong signal is what we are looking for. So we are trying all the different methods to look at things like that. Another
mm,
thing that I personally are very passionate since my PhD time is not so much about the machine learning AI algorithms, but it's the cross modality. How do we combine images, audios, videos, text data, and those structured data together and use that to solve a problem? And for example, if you go to airport now, right, most of the airports, they're still using the body temperatures as I would say, the only way to screen people, right? So they have the thermometers, and they check basically whether your body temperature. But in the next 3 to 6 months, right, you will see some of the body temperature data will be integrated together with other data. For example, they will ask you to speak a couple of lines or speak a couple of sentences, or they will ask you to cough to test your coughing sound or coughing voice, and that will be another type of unstructured data that they can use it to judge whether you have or what are the risks that this person is a COVID-19 virus carrier.
got it, got it. I mean, when you first talk about a bunch of if-else statements, you definitely reminded me of my uni days. I
Yeah,
remember during that time, I was working on a final year project where it involves robot soccer, and
yeah,
it's a very popular final year project at that point of
yeah,
time.
yeah. Robotics.
Robot soccer, and we have to program those robot unit to be able to play soccer using a bunch of if-else statements. I believe the language at the time was Lips, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
lives.
yeah, and it came a long way. My own opinion and my own experience with AI and ML is that it's been the it came a long way from then to now, where it's made so readily available
So
for.
allow me to sidetrack a little bit on that, right?
Yeah,
Since Bob mentioned about uni times, I remember the most popular final year project. I'm from Singapore Poly, by the way. In SPE, the
oh,
most popular final year projects is either robotic soccer or traffic light systems, right? The traffic management systems and stuff like that. And those are very easily visualizable, and you can tell the lecturers how hard you work. But whereas for IT students like us, we everybody build a website, but you can't really tell how much work they have put into the website. So the unethical tips about hackathon is the same thing, right? Whether you write a actual login function, or you write a login function with a button that you press and then it pauses for 2 seconds before you enter the next page, the judges basically can't really tell. So that's the thing. And when we talk about AI, right? AI actually has been there for many years. Like when we played Super Mario last time, the AI is probably not as smart as today, compared to other games like Assassin's Creed. But I would say that I would argue that definitely AI is not something that is so magical as you've seen, and we are trying to tackle the application of the AI side, and not so much on newer algorithms or something like quantum theory that people always talk about.
yeah, definitely. Just coming back to CoronaTracker.com, you talk about signals and able to kind of pick, evaluate, and maybe that's the
Yep.
right word to use here, to evaluate whether a signal is actually something that should be considered.
Yep.
Have you encountered any instances where you realize that, a signal that was initially being considered as a strong signal eventually resulted in a lot of false positives?
Yep.
And you kind of need to backtrack a little bit. Have you encountered such situation, and maybe you can share with the audience your approach in terms of like tackling all these false positives?
Mm, in COVID-19 virus tracking, right? We sort of quite careful between false positive and false negatives. If you have too many false positives, right, you will be causing unnecessary kind of fear in the public. But if you think about it, if you keep bypassing a lot of false positive, and they end up they turns out to be a lot of false negatives, and that will cause even bigger problems. Like for example, in US, there's a typical example that they keep telling you that it's not COVID-19, it's just flu, influenza, that sort of things. And that reminds me of a story that I'm going to show you here, right? In our system actually picks up. Yeah, you see that this particular country, Seychelles, the government said that the public is informed that the information posted on CoronaTracker.com website has been marked as false, and they purposely posted a Facebook post in their own language to criticize Corona Tracker, and they say everything is false, and then we have recorded no confirmed cases. There's 11, and then on and their citizens, right? There are a couple of the users of Corona Tracker is actually inside our group, and they are our users, and our system managed to capture 2 cases. So somebody from Seychelles actually reported 2 cases to us, and we published that information. And on the 13th itself, right? Sorry, not this one. Yeah, on the 13th itself, they still insist that our information is wrong. Then 12 hours later, they cannot tahan, because the people keep going to the Facebook page, and then you guys can go and take a look. Yeah, it's on their official
Mm,
site, and they did not take down. They're quite open with that, and you can look at our response with them, and then we say da 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 da. And 12 hours later, they say, okay, sorry, we are wrong. They confirms that there are 2 coronavirus cases.
mm.
And yeah, so this is something that I think false positive in this case is quite useful. Yeah, at least at that time.
Got it, got it. I guess
Mm,
in this pandemic, it definitely pays to be as open as possible, because it's
yes.
this is, I would say, maybe in my very humble and ignorant opinion, is there's not a lot of cases before of this scale. I mean, just
Yeah.
parroting what I read. I'm not a medical expert whatsoever, but it's nice to see that people are so open to be proven wrong,
Yeah.
and we have tools to be able to help us understand whether it's a false positive or it's a false negative, in that sense lah. So I think your sharing has definitely spoken to that spirit.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for being for sharing that with us. Um, I want to really dive in a little bit about the community aspect, right?
Yep.
And once again, uh, you know, I'm a true believer in terms of like as much as possible. If the community band together, we would be able to do things better,
Yep.
do things at a larger scale. Could you share a little bit in terms of like what are the roles in the community, in the volunteering community that have come together to support CoronaTracker.com?
Sure. So maybe I will show you our internal but public Slack channel. So if you can, everyone can see, right? Yeah. So this is our Slack group. So we split that into different teams, different topics. So we have people working on front end, we have people working on back end, and we have our core team, and then we have data visualization. This is quite an active group as well. And you look at all the mini logs here, right? All these private chat groups, really the research team. So they are I wouldn't say highly private and confidential, but they're pretty sensitive to their data, to the information that we share. So
Mm,
there's a lot of information, and most important thing is because of the research progress, and yeah, so that's why they are quite sensitive. And we have dedicated channels to talk about the research papers that we publish as well. So and we have different languages, different countries, yeah, channel. So maybe let's go to the general one. Yeah, the actual people who are in the work group is about 546 right now.
wow. Wow.
Mm.
How is workstream being coordinated though? Like, I mean, like, I would imagine this is very, that might be relevant to any startups or developers who's working in a large scale project and especially working in an open source, environment. Any tips in terms of like how to best coordinate work streams in such an organic, community? Oh, Dr. Lau, I think you're muted.
Yep. So, Bob, I think you raised a very good question. This is pretty much like a open source project. So we have these leaders, but I did not assign, once again, I did not assign any role to them. I didn't go around and say, hey, Hafiz, you want to become a lead data scientist, or I assign you to be a lead data scientist. But this is based on their commitment, because everybody's is like, how do I put it in words? They have day jobs, okay? So their commitment level varies, and some people are quite committed at the very beginning, because when it just started, and they are quite concerned, and then after a while they just left lah. Yeah. So these are the people that they are committed, and they have indicated that they're interested to become the leader of the particular team. So at the very beginning, I basically just asked around. I say, hey, I think we have. Okay, I think what I want to share with the group here is that you will know that when it happens, right? When a group of people, they start to talk about something passionately, and then some people, they will display the quality of a leader. So if, especially for my case, right, I'm basically just the idea guy lah, in startup sense. I didn't bring too much of my technical skills to the team. Later on, we probably can talk about the front end, back end, the stack that we use. It's pretty cutting edge. So I basically just provide the platforms, and I bring the right resources to them, and my company sponsor some of the computing resources and marketing, for example. And then when that happens, we basically just have to identify the person that has displayed the qualities of leadership, and then ask them like, hey, would you like to lead the particular department or particular divisions? That's how I do that.
Got it. Got it. I think maybe what I would say is definitely pays uh, to to how I say be proactive. I guess. Like,
Yes, yeah, to be proactive. And one more thing is that, if I may add, right? So as a leader, it doesn't mean that in Western culture, leader usually have to be the one that always say, okay, let's go ahead, let's chiong, all those things, right? But in I'm typical Asian, so in my culture is more like I spend more time observing rather than just run and you lead by providing, you know, a role model as a role model. And the thing is, give people that sort of opportunities that you have to really understand what they want rather than just keep telling them, you know, you have to do this, you have to do this. And we, in this case, I was lucky, and because the project is easy, the mission statement is we want to use AI to combat the virus at the large scale. Yeah. So if you are running a startup or you run an open source project, it's not so much about the technical skills, but it's about you constantly have to ask yourself, in a cliche way, a cheesy way, is like, what is your true north? What is your real intention of doing that? When I first started, a lot of people mistaken me like, oh, you're trying to build this as a dashboard. So I wouldn't call this a dashboard, because dashboard is just one of the function, but it's an information portal. And why are you building this information portal? Because you want to fight fake news, you want to provide people up to date statistics, you want to help people to be more aware of the situation, and these are the things that we, as a leader, you have to constantly think about. Yeah.
Got it, got it. I think authenticity. You know, I think
Yeah.
that's. I mean, we digress a little bit into leadership, but I mean, for me, it's all about authenticity and making sure that we remain focused on, you know, what we're trying to achieve. Uh,
Yeah.
thanks. Sound advice, sound advice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think,
something to on that authenticity part, right? I have something to share. This is something that only for you, Bok. I've never shared in any other public media, because I don't think it's appropriate to say that in the media, and they don't like to hear this. But when people talk about authenticity, and people talk about genuine, right? People think that you shouldn't talk about personal agenda. You shouldn't be talking about you know, your what you want to do for yourself. But I always ask them, what do you want? What do you want from this project? Everybody knows that this project is not about money. But for example, if you have somebody who is a university researcher, then we have to talk to them, like, because I have academics background, so I know, right, what's your goal in this project? Can I help you with like publications, what sort of paper you want to publish? And then when you have a product developer, or you have a full stack engineer, like what I saying, and then when I spoke to him, I said, what do you want from this project? He just said, you know, he just want to help, and then he wants to contribute, and he wants to share his experience. I said, good, that's very good. And I said, I can help you with some other exposure. For example, we try different kind of products, we try different kind of services or technology stack that's out there, and then he has my full support, for example. So I believe that when it comes to authenticity and then genuine, right, you again, Asian culture, we try to shy away from, you know, talking about this upfront. But I think it's a very good practice that we should learn from the Western side, is that talk about people's goal and their vision. If really what they want to do does not align with what I have in mind, then we can tell them upfront, see, we can work something out. There's definitely something that we can work out together if you are open. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can resonate with that. I think in a developer community, in a startup community, it's always nice to be able to. I guess a mentor of mine, you know, used to tell me that communicate with intent.
Yeah.
So you understand how to actually work together with you on a project, or essentially maybe, you know, working together to form a startup and then be able to bring that vision to fruition. I think
Correct.
communicating with intent is very important. But you know,
Yeah.
thanks a lot for imparting your words of wisdom there. I want to talk a little bit about you know, how CoronaTracker.com is being used. And you know, when we were casually catching up a few days ago, you were sharing that, you know, it's currently being used in almost every country in the world.
Yeah.
Uh, and would love for you to share, you know, how those countries are using Corona Tracker, the value they're deriving from CoronaTracker.com. Uh, and also WHO seems to have picked this up as well. So, you know, if you could share how all this came about, I think it serves as an inspiration. Whereas an open source project start off as an idea, eventually has legs that you can run.
Yeah, sure. So, for for those of you who are not aware, right, CoronaTracker actually our data is fully open source. Our entire project is open source, including the data. So if you go to api.coronatracker.com, you can look at our documentation. It's very well documented, and every country, if you go to coronatracker.com/country/ let's say SG, right? You will get a dedicated dashboard for that particular country, Singapore, with all the charts, and yeah, basically 195 countries in the world. Then one of our, if you look at our the analytics, right, one of them, okay, let's talk about developed countries first. So those countries who have very complete data collection testing, like for example Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan, they use our website briefly just because we collect the data, so their MOH, their DOH can come to our website to get data of other countries. They can use that for benchmarking, they can use that for dashboarding. And in Malaysia, our MOH also use similar data for their operation dashboard, so daily operations, so they can look at the number of cases. In most cases, our data, right, our speed, especially when it comes to update speed, is a lot faster than the official websites, because official websites, they don't send crawlers to go through all the social media analytics. They wait for somebody to enter and cross validate the data. But we took a very proactive approach, like Bob mentioned earlier. So our data is quite up to date. Like every 3 to 5 minutes we will have new data coming in. And some countries, like for example Egypt and some of the West Africa countries or Eastern European countries, Bulgaria, Bosnia, that sort of countries, right? And they use our data set, actually their government use our data set as the primary or the secondary data source to complement their country data. So Egypt, so we have a large number of visitors actually coming from Egypt and India, for example.
Got it. I was just doing a time check, and I think we might have to run over a little bit. Apologize for that, Doctor. But we have some interesting
I'm
questions.
okay because I thought I'm a little bit long-winded today.
No, no, not at all. I think the discussion was very interesting.
Thank you.
So I just want to make sure we give a chance to the people who actually have submitted their questions to you.
Sure.
So I'm just going to flash a few of them onto the screen. I think the first one is pretty interesting. So from Akila, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And the question was, I'm interested in looking at statistical modeling to forecast confirm or fatal cases of COVID-19 per country.
Yep.
Yeah, Doctor, over to you in terms of how you feel about this question.
Sure. So, if you look at, I think recently SSDU has done some sort of modeling, and then so far a lot of the universities or the academic researchers, they have done the prediction or spread modeling, that sort of thing, have never gotten it correctly, right? The precision is pretty low. That's one of the things. But it doesn't mean that it has no value in doing that, because if something goes wrong, you have to know at least what went wrong, right? Or which part of it of your model is wrong, and then you can keep fine tuning it until your model is getting more and more accurate. So if Akira is interested to join us, you can join our Slack group or Telegram group, and then ping me. I'll get the research team to work together with you, because we do work on SIR, SER model. We have some initial results, and we can take a look and use it as a benchmark to compare with your LSTM. Then we can improve it together. Now, the main reasons that a lot of models are not accurate is because there are too many external factors, and different countries have different definition, what sort of testing they want to do, etc. So that's what causes the results to fluctuate so much. Yeah.
I see. So for Akila, we'll be flashing some contact details later on towards the very end. which you can reach out to Dr. Lau through email, and and he will be able to connect you with the right
Yep.
people to bring this
Mm.
forward. Another question that we receive is from Yong. How would you suggest a fresh grad with a data science career and part-time full-stack developer to get a master degree or obtain certified qualifications through online learning platform? I
Okay,
think
that's
it's
that's a
talking
good
about
question.
educator.
Yeah, this is the question that I answer on a daily basis. So you are fresh grad, right, with a data science. I believe that you are fresh grad with a data science degree, not just a data science career, right? So you have a data science degree, and then you are a part-time full stack developer. So you can start to look at interesting problems and interesting questions that you want to tackle and combine the two skills together. Now, a lot of the data scientists that I have trained, right, they came from zero technical background before they become my student. Before they become my students, they never written a line of code. They probably use a little bit of Excel and Power BI. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. And after they have taken the course, then they sometimes they spark their interest in programming, so they'll go deep into Python. And since you are already a part-time full stack developer, so you definitely have this right skill sets. You know what is front end, what is back end, and you just need to know how to take your models, okay, how to take your models to production by combining these two skills. Okay, that's number one. Now your second question is obtain certified qualifications through online learning platforms. Right now, people always compare data science with actuarial science. Actuarial science has a professional body and organizations to certify your professionals, right? Your just like ACCA, you have SOA, for example. But for data science, we don't have that yet. The main reason is because data science is a constantly evolving field. I believe that it will never get settled. 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago when I was studying, right? That time we were not doing any data science. We call it data mining. But today, if I tell people that I'm doing data mining, they probably think that I'm doing blockchain or Bitcoin, to be exact, Bitcoin. Like, yeah. So any sort of online learning platform certified qualification is good, but not just about the money. Let's say you go to MOOC, right? You go to Coursera, you go to all sort of like not Udemy, but all like those nano degrees or even data camp. You can get yourself certified very quickly, but don't go for those very generic type of introduction. Yeah, you should look at, if you are interested in AI, then you should pick up a certification in deep learning. And if you are interested in, let's say, natural language processing like myself, then you should go deep into that sort of specializations. Basically, don't look horizontally. Sometimes look into a specific niche. So you build your career in the T shape, pie shape, or even better, a comb shape. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I never had that visualization being told to me before. The only thing I can draw parallels is generalist being specialist.
Yes. Yeah, but
So
a vivid comparison would be T shape, pie shape, or comb, right?
yeah, that's an interesting mental model there. We do have some questions from the comments as well, so I'm just going to flash a few. And we actually have Ahela with us. She was asking, can you know what platform is the tracker built on? Then you
Mm.
visualize it to use here.
Okay, sure. Very quick one. The entire platform is built on Jamstack. So that's why you see, right? We always constantly get about 1,000 to 2,000 users on our site, but it's running on a small instance only. Yeah, we have two small instances running. One is to serve our backend API. The other one is to serve is to crawl the news articles. That's all. We have two small instances doing that, and through some very smart configuration. This one I have to give the credits to the team. Cachings and load balancings and rate limiting, that we are able to serve this page. So every time, let's say I click on any of the page, right, it loads very fast. I would say very fast given today's internet speed, right? Because this is using Nux.js and UXT.js. Then our backend is running on Node.js. Yeah. So these are the, I think those are the question that she wants to know. Yeah, visualization too. So if you are a business person or you are not familiar with this JavaScript charting library, we are using Chat.js, and some people use HTML5, but a large group of them, they use Google Data Studio. Yeah, so you can just connect to our API and then go to Google Data Studios. You can easily visualize the data.
Got it. Got it. We've got a very interesting question, and just give me a second. Let me just switch over to that. Um, and I think this is a very valid question. And I think it comes down to being focused and understanding, what we can do minimally to achieve the greatest impact. So, Doctor, this is for you, right? I think Benashir was asking, like, when there's a simpler solution, why do we need to complicate it in implementing it technically? Uh,
So maybe Bob, what do you understand by simpler solutions?
Simpler solution. Uh, that is a
Maybe
good.
Benazir, if you're online, you can let us know what do you mean by simpler solutions. When I started building CoronaTracker, right, we are the second one. So the first one who attempt to tackle the problem, I can confidently say that is JHU, John Hopkins University, the map dashboard, and then we are the second one. And when I started building it, there's no other platforms out there. Today, there are like hundreds or thousands of COVID-19 dashboards out there, but they don't provide things like open API for people to get access to their data, and most of them they don't do news as well. And even if they do, right, they don't have that many languages. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, more than 10 languages, and we also translated our website different languages and also uh, dialects, like all these Philippine dialects and yeah. Portuguese, I remember, yeah, and Spanish. So yeah, if Vanessa is online, maybe you can let us know what do you mean by simpler solution. If there is a solution, I'm more than happy to use that actually. Yeah.
I think just coming back to your question, when you asked me what I know by simpler solution,
Mm,
I think simplicity uh, comes with a journey of discovery, right?
yes.
You first need to, I think, before we can get down to a simpler solution, we often have to implement it, play around with it, and then slowly refactor it, and then generally comes down to a realization and say that, oh, there's actually a more effective way to do it. And I often find myself, deriving on a simpler solution after going through that journey of discovering and learning and weeding through all the unnecessary understand what are the unnecessary aspect of a solution before
Yeah.
deriving on a solution. I think that's my answer to that.
Yeah.
Venice, like what Doctor mentioned, I think it's a very interesting question. If you're online, or even after you caught you're not online but you are watching the recording, do elaborate on the comments. I think this is a very interesting question.
Yes, I like this question actually. Like,
Me too.
everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. I think this is also some yeah, my answer to that question as well. But yeah, let's go to the next question. And Benazir, if you're online or offline, I'm more than happy to have a further discussion with you on this.
Sure, sure. I think the one question we have through the comments is from Shang Ong. Let me just see. And he mentioned what are the application of NLP model. We might have covered this in bits and pieces, but
Hmm.
just in case Shang missed that out, Doctor would love to invite you to speak to this as well.
So right now, a lot of people when they look at Corona Tracker, they when I talk about NLP, they'll be thinking like, oh, must be those very advanced like bird model, that sort of deep learning type of models. But we don't really go that far in terms of the application of NLP in Corona Tracker itself. It's pretty much just for us to get rid of duplicates news and get rid of some news that is not so uh, I would say very opinionated, like not so factual, right? So some of the keyword and then some of the semantics, if we don't like it, and then if the sentiments was too strong, for example, and then we'll avoid those articles. So that's the first level of, I would say, filter. And then second level, when we use it for research, we use it for sentiment analysis. So ever since the beginning, we have been listening to different types of social media feeds, try to understand the public sentiments when it comes to a pandemic like this. And you can never get a very accurate picture just by doing sentiment analysis, because sentiment analysis itself is very bipolar. It's either positive, negative, or people are talking some neutral things. That's all right. But when you go one level deeper, you can actually do things like opinion mining. So when people strongly feel, you can see that this is a very negative situation, but what are the positive things that people felt? There's something interesting that you can look into. And then when people say something that's very negative, what sort of things that they feel negative about? Is that just very mild level, like, how I cannot go out during the MCO, CCB, or something that's very severe, like in countries like Japan, for example, or Indonesia, as we have detected a lot of cases like suicide. They don't tell those people that when they want to go suicide, they don't say I'm going to kill myself, right? When people say they're going to kill themselves, definitely most likely they are not going to do that. But you have to find those signals that indicates that people are really in the depression mood, and how you can like help them in that sort of situations. And level 3 is the next level that we are going to do. Is we have access to different types of uh, research papers, literatures. We're going to do topic modeling to see the correlations between different topic clusters and keywords to find out what are the approaches that people have been looking into, or what are the methods that people have tried to tackle similar situation or similar virus. And if without using these sort of topic models, right, it would take human like researchers a long time to read. So with topic modeling and then a little bit of AI, we can definitely speed things up by 10 times or even 50 times. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. Just in the interest of time here, I think there's two more questions I have for you. One is that I really want to understand from you what's the future vision of CoronaTracker.com. What are the next steps, right? From here. If you can elaborate that a little bit. I think the next question is actually, from Jerry, how to join the voluntary team. So those are the two remaining questions we have.
Yeah, not too hard to answer. So the next steps we are going to build is open AI driven open data lake for coronavirus. And you can go to covid19ai.org. Again, is an open source initiative that encourages academic researchers and data scientists, data engineers, machine learning practitioners to work together. So we really want to attract people from different industry, different expertise to work on the data set together. Like I said at the very beginning, right, is that the interesting parts not because of the virologists or the pharmacists. They have completed the research and done the clinical trial and found a new vaccine. We all know that that's going to happen, and it is happening. But what is interesting to us, at least, is that, hey, we have this sort of data set, right? During the process of the drug discovery, what have we learned? And can we use what we have learned here to clone it into other aspects of our research? And that is what the open data lake is for. Yeah, so that's the next step. So we are going to use all the data that we have collected, put it into an open data lake for different researchers to be able to work on it together. Something that I would like to highlight a little bit, sidetrack a little bit, is that if you go to Reddit or Quora, right, you will see that a lot of epidemiologists or virologists complaining about data scientists. They say, what are those data scientists doing? Every day they just get the data, run some models, draw some charts, and then they start to draw their own conclusions. But that's how data scientists work, right? We look at data, we look at patterns, and we look at signals and trends, and then we start to come up with our own story. Yeah, of course, some of the conclusions are very naive, right? For example, some of the PhD researchers, they draw an exponential curve and say, "Oh, this is by the look of it, the curve is flattened," and yeah, then suddenly the second wave come and then they disappear. But what is more interesting is that when the virologists and data scientists work together, so data scientists should be asking them like, "Hey, I found this trend which is different from your research. Can you advise or can you at least look at it and tell us maybe there's something something weird or something not so ordinary happening here, and then we can find some based on the outliers we can find some interesting insights or findings." So that's number one, yeah. And if you want to join us, later on, Bok will flash my contact details so you can contact me directly. I'm pretty responsive. Yeah.
I really like that angle. People from two disciplines coming together,
Yeah.
and then leveraging their expertise and knowledge and complementing one another. I think that should be the spirit.
Yeah. And if I may take another 30 seconds, right? Some eventually all the countries will be will be back to normal, and everybody needs to get used to the new norm. But what are the side effects and the impact? And for example, we have seen all sort of reports saying that 1 million people are losing their jobs, up to 25 million people are losing their jobs. But bear in mind that given the scale of the economy before COVID-19, right, I don't think there are that many people who are going to lose their job. But in a more political correct way is that many jobs will disappear or diminish because of the industry restructuring. But on the other hand, there will be at least an equal amount of jobs will be created. So where are these jobs and what are the new jobs to be created, and what are the impact and a lot of other indicators that we can work with, for example, economists and people from social study to conduct the further research from there as well.
Right, that's a pretty interesting perspective. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And I think that comes to the end of our AMA. What I'd love to do right now is to bring back Joey, which is our honorable host, to conclude this and wrap this up, as well as to share how to get contact with Dr. Lau.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Lau and Bob. That was an amazing session. I think those were really insightful sharing, and we hope the audience enjoyed the session as much as we did as well. As mentioned by Bob and Dr. Lau, if you have further questions that we were unable to answer during this session, feel free to drop them in the comments. And Dr. Lau is very responsive. He will get back to you as soon as he can after we share the contact info. So thank you once again, Dr. Lau, for joining us tonight. Really happy that you were able to join us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lau. Thank you.
So for your information, this session will be available on our website and social media channels across the next couple of days. So stay connected with us by signing up to our mailing list on our website or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to join Dr. Lau and his community during this time in need, drop an email at research@coronatracker.com or just visit coronatracker.com to find out more. We want to also hear your feedback about this event. Let us know what you think and help us improve our next session by filling out this feedback form. And lastly, we will also be holding our next LaCopy session on the 19th of May, where our developer communities will be sharing about their mobile tech projects. So stay tuned and join us for our next event. At the meantime, stay safe everyone, and we look forward to meeting you in person soon again.